everybody. We have made it. We are here finally. Welcome to episode 1 of the Creating to Cope podcast with Leah Chris. That's me. I have 2 other co-hosts that will probably be in and out of these episodes, but yeah, don't mind them. You'll know when you see them. I figured I'd take this first episode to kind of go over the reasons behind starting this podcast, things that I think about often, struggles, experiences, passions, just everything that has led me up to this point. And I started it basically because I just really love to talk. I think a lot of people know that. If you are, in my life in general, you know that I am a talker. And it's funny actually because my beautiful, wonderful boyfriend, who happens to be an audio engineer and producer, will be editing my podcast. So he gets to listen to me talk even more. So thanks, babe. Shout out. So basically, Creating to Cope is going to cover a multitude of topics, including mental health, creative coping skills, navigating adulthood, specifically young adulthood, interpersonal relationships, sobriety and substance abuse, social constructs, stories, experiences, guests, etc. I really want Creating to Cope to just be a place where we can come together and really talk about hard stuff, hard topics, but more informally and more in a conversational setting. I am a very humorous person. I think that coping with humor is and can be, it can be a good thing, depending on who you are. A little bit about me. I am 28 years old. I'll be 29 in a month. I am a licensed creative arts therapist, so I'm a licensed music therapist. I also have a degree in human development. I'm a singer-songwriter. I live in Nashville. I just moved to Nashville about a year ago. In a couple weeks, it'll be a year, which is insane. I grew up in Virginia. Most of my life has been spent in Virginia. So this transition to Nashville, that was my cat Booker. I don't know if you heard him. But anyways, this transition to Nashville has been really, really difficult for me. Emotionally and socially and personally, it's just been really, really hard. So I think I've kind of come up with a lot of things that I really want to talk about with other people because I think they're important topics that we don't really touch on. Hi. Booker's coming up here. I think my cats are really going to love this podcast setup that we have going on because they love my squishmallows and my blankets. So they will definitely be in and out. So yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter. I love miniature things, anything mini, like little toys and figurines. I have Ariel and cacti over there, and I just love little knickknacks. I love squishmallows. I collect those, if you know me. I'm basically like a giant kid, even though I'm turning 29. Yeah, I'll talk a lot about that too. The idea for this podcast really became solidified. Like the idea that I was going to start it really solidified in my brain after getting sober. So on April 4th, which was a couple days ago, I hit my 9-month mark of sobriety. And this podcast isn't going to be, a sobriety podcast, so to speak, but I will be talking about it a lot because it has been one of the biggest factors in my, finding my identity and finding out who I am and, navigating this life and, eliminating something that really hindered me and held me back from doing a lot of things, while also going through some emotional turmoil in early sobriety. It is not all butterflies and roses, let me tell y'all. But Yeah, and I think in doing so, I think in becoming sober, I felt like an infant. I felt like I was kind of walking through this world in a brand new place, Nashville, nonetheless, a big, loud city. And I felt like I was an infant. I had to relearn how to socialize without substances. I had to relearn how to manage my anxiety, manage my depression, manage racing thoughts, manage my manic episodes. I mean, it's just been like a roller coaster. And I want to talk about it all the time now because I am more comfortable in sobriety, I guess. And I've just really explored a lot of different things in my life. And I have had to get creative in the last 9 months because I didn't have a crutch to lean on. So what is young adulthood? Let's just go for it. What is young adulthood? So personally, I have always thought that young adulthood is anywhere from like age 20 to 40. Literally, that's what I've thought. I know that you're technically and legally an adult at 18. I think that's, yeah, I don't know. I don't even want to get into that. But I think in my experience, like I was technically considered an adult at 18. No. Nope. Where's the science behind that? What's the deal? But I recently read an article about young adulthood and how it is defined because there are several different definitions of it, of course, and it's all kind of subjective to your experiences. But I read an article called Defining Young Adulthood, and according to Elena Higley, the author, she says that young adulthood is a unique developmental period that occurs between the ages of 18 and 25 years, during which there are key developmental tasks that allow the young adult to participate in self-exploration and identity formation. Ages 18 through 25. That is not how my life has gone. That is not how my life has gone, and I'm not upset by it. I think I'm getting passionate, but I'm not upset by it at all. I think, everything that I've gone through, everything that I've done and learned and executed in my life has got me to this point. So I'm very thankful. But that is crazy to me. Being on the outside of, where I've kind of finally started to accept adulthood. Looking at 18 to 25 is bonkers to me. That throws me for a freaking loop, if I've ever seen one. But with adulthood, and young adulthood specifically, comes a lot of changes and a lot of tasks and a lot of decisions that we have to make and we're constantly making. Some of those I will list for you because I want to. Taxes. Man. We're not going to talk about taxes. This episode is not about taxes, but that is an adult task that we have to learn how to do. Actually, fun fact, my first time doing my taxes by myself as an adult, as a young adult, which it was actually like not that long ago. But the first time I did my taxes by myself without my mommy, I rolled into H&R Block in an all black sweatsuit. I had my black hoodie on, hood up, hungover. I mean, I think my skin was like green, like pale yellow green. And I got called back to the desk, and this man, he asked me, "You're here to do your taxes." I look at him and I just slide a folder of papers that I had that my mommy told me to print out. W-2s, 1090s, whatever. I slid them, because it was during COVID kind of, so I slid them under the plastic shield. And I literally said, "Yes, sir, this is my first time doing my taxes without my mom." And he said, "Perfect, I will just do everything. All you have to do is sort of listen and sign off." And I was like, perfect, I can do that. Anyways, so taxes is one. Insurance. Insurance is wild to me because we are thrown off of our parents' insurance at age 26. And I've actually talked to, that's come up with my parents before, where even my parents were like, I really wish we didn't have to throw you off for insurance because we have good insurance. And like you're in a transition phase of your life and you're trying to get grounded and figure out, where you belong. And I really appreciated that because it is so hard. It is so hard to be literally legally thrown off an insurance plan because we need healthcare. But our age group, this young adult age group, I think when it comes to insurance and healthcare, it is often more difficult than our surrounding age groups. So let me just explain what I'm talking about. Okay, so we typically have less healthcare opportunities and rates of utilization than our surrounding age groups because we have less resources and benefits. Where early on in our careers, we are making, we graduate from college, we get a job, we're making standard, if not less than standard, and we are in probation periods. I mean, we're building our careers, and that's hard, right? Because the benefits that come with a long-standing career and position within a company or wherever you work, there are more opportunities for healthcare. We do have to find doctors, dentists, gynecologists, therapists. I mean, at any age, that stuff is hard, right? But then we have to figure out how to pay for it. At any age, again, that's hard. But I'm just specifically talking about my age group. Maybe you can relate, maybe you can't. But I just ask for an open ear. Our relationships are changing drastically. Drastically. We do not talk about like how important our relationships are during this time in our lives. I've had a lot of relationships change, pretty much all of them. I have made a lot of mistakes. I have lost some people that I really love and I really care about because I've made a lot of mistakes. I've almost lost people, loved ones. Aside from those deeply rooted things and incidences, like our relationships are changing anyways. All of our friends are getting married, they're having kids, they're moving away, or we're doing that. So relationships are changing. Everybody's moving around. And with that, in my experience, has come so much grief. So much grief. I just, in moving from Virginia to Tennessee, this last year, you guys, I have just been mourning. And that sounds dramatic, but I'm 100% positive and confident in the fact that I have been grieving. Friends, family, my old life, my old self, which is crazy because I used to be kind of destructive. And when I say destructive, again, okay, I'm getting off topic. But I think relationships is a big factor in how we identify ourselves and how, in our interests and the things we get involved in. And it's just constantly changing. I feel like as kids, we're pretty malleable. We can make friends on the playground. We can make friends in every different class. As adults, like middle age, it's just from what I've seen. I don't know because I'm not in that age group. I feel like they have a few friends, like a handful of friends that are ride or diers, They've known their whole lives. They're true and steadfast friends. And I think in our age group, in this middle age group, we are trying to figure that out. We're trying to figure out who belongs in our lives, where we belong in other people's lives, and what's the best for our development and for other people's development. And I think that's really tough. I've always been very connected to people and a people person anyways, but I've always loved really hard. And again, in the last couple of years, I think I haven't loved people well. I haven't loved myself well, but that's why we're here. So how can we navigate young adulthood and this period in life while also staying creative and childlike and joyful? How can we enjoy the simple pleasures of life? And how can we kind of let go of things and step away from distractions such as drugs, alcohol, TV, news, the media? Like, how can we step away from that and figure out how to be somebody in this world? How can we do that? That's basically what I want this podcast to be about. I've jumped into a lot of hobbies. I've made new relationships. I've had to mourn old relationships. I've had to completely rewire myself and figure out what's important to me and how I can be a better person, like a better individual, a better sister, daughter, friend, girlfriend, how I can be a better artist, everything. So when I got sober, I'm going back to the sober topic for 1 second. But when I did get sober, I had to really deal with the downtime. I didn't know in young adulthood, I didn't know how to like wind down. I still don't. I still do not know how to wind down, but up until this point in young adulthood, I have always had alcohol. I've always had distractions. I've always had a friend group. I've always had parties that I'm organizing and activities and events that I'm organizing. Like, I was always the meeting point for people. I don't do that anymore. And that comes with a lot of sadness, honestly. Because I do love that girl. I love that girl with all my heart, but she was hurting, I think. And well, I know she was hurting and she was going through a lot of things. And her way of dealing with that was distraction. So I'm going to leave you with this in our first episode over this next week or over the next couple days. I want you to think about you as a child and going back to being a kid when we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have computers, we didn't have every single fact and every bit of information at our fingertips. We didn't have substances. We just went outside and played. We laughed super hard. We dressed up. We danced. We hung out with our siblings, our parents, our cousins, our grandparents. We would swim in the pool for hours on end. Like, I want you to think about that concept of removing all the distractions and how crazy that is for us right now as adults, because it's so normalized to always be distracted. Think about your younger self, the joy, the pure joy that you found in just existing. Well, thanks for joining me today. I was really nervous, but I'm glad that you stayed, and I will see you next time.